Hi everyone, my name is Megan and today's video is all about fanfiction. Hi friends, welcome to today's video. Like I said, today's video is all about fanfiction. I want to talk about fanfiction, talk about my favorite places to read fanfiction, talk about some fanfiction you may have read and didn't even realize it was fanfiction. In my research for this video, because I've been working on it for a little while, one of the main things I figured out is a lot of today's romance books, or like the books that inspired today's romance books, all kind of stem from one thing, like one genre. So, let's just go ahead and jump into this. Let's start talking about it. So for when it comes to fanfiction, there are two types of fanfiction. I mean, there are multiple like tropes for fanfiction. But there are two main types of fanfiction you're going to find on the internet. And that is actual fanfiction, where the stories are written with characters from movies and TV shows. And there is RPF, or real person fic, where it is actually based on the actor. So for example, I enjoy Captain America fanfiction. I enjoy Steve Rogers fanfiction. That is fanfiction. If I read a story where Chris Evans in the story is actually Chris Evans, it is known that it is Chris Evans, it is not like an unpublished work, it's not like a Wattpad story where the guy's like loosely based on Chris Evans, or like Andy J. Christopher. We'll use Andy's not the girl you marry for an example. That guy is based on Chris Evans, his name is not Chris Evans, that kind of thing. That is not real person fic. Real person fic is when the character is Chris Evans. I hope that makes some sense. So like, it's not if you read like Steve Rogers or Andy Barber or Jake Jensen. It's not like if you read one of those Chris Evans character. If it is a character, it is fan fiction. If it is based on the actor, it is a real person fic. Those get sketchy for me to read. I will read some of them, but it's iffy, and I'm more likely to exit out of a real person fic. Those are the two big things you need to know about fan fiction kind of going into this. Now there's obviously other branches of fan fiction, and there are alternate universes and stuff, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is fan fiction and how it has kind of shaped romance as we know it. So here's the big secret that I feel like nobody talks about, because for the longest time I thought reading fan fiction was so taboo and I did not admit to it. So when it comes to writing fan fiction, I think a reason a lot of the authors that we know and love got their start with fan fiction is because those characters are made. You don't have to do the character development. And I think that writing fan fiction allows you to focus on other elements of storytelling, and you can always go back and work on character development. I have written, I've never published anything, and I've not done it in years and years, but when I wrote fan fiction, again, pre-high school, I've been out of high school, next year is 10 years. I graduated in 2013. Pre-high school, I wrote fan fiction. As someone who wrote fan fiction, it was a lot easier to use an already established person to write a story with. So I believe that's a big reason that we see a lot of the authors and a lot of the books that we've heard, a lot of books I've known of being some people in my life's gateway into romance books, started out as fan fiction. And the catalyst for this that I have found with, again, a lot of people in my life specifically, I have a cousin who doesn't read romance books. She read the 50 Shades of Grey books. Those are Twilight fan fiction. They were originally Twilight fan fiction, which is fine. This is a safe space to talk about fan fiction. There's nothing wrong with fan fiction. Fan fiction, as long as it's not hurting anyone, and much like real fiction, much like the romance books that I talk about on here, if you have content warnings and trigger warnings, and you as a reader have any of those content or trigger warnings, don't read that fic, okay? Just like with a book, when I tell you there's a content warning, and if this bothers you, don't read it. Don't read it. It's still, just because it's not published and just because it revolves around an already established character does not mean that these people that write their fics are going to keep the character canon. So, just because it happens in a fan fiction doesn't make it canon. Now, fan fiction can be based off different things. I think there's video game fan fiction, and like, I know there's weird Ted Lasso fan fiction out there. Here's the other thing. This is the other thing that I hate to admit to you all, but I have to, because if I don't, I know Izzy's gonna call me out on it. When I tell you I read fan fiction, I read self-insert fan fiction. There's some good self-insert out there, and Izzy will vouch for me on that. There's a series on Tumblr that I send her all the time. It is Chubby Baker Bucky, so it's an alternate universe where Bucky Barnes is a chubby baker, and the author of these fan fictions has several different series, but in each series the reader has a different nickname. So it's not a lot of YN, YEC, like, and like YN is your name, right? So you're inserting yourself. So like Chubby Baker Bucky, he calls his girlfriend Peach, and it's a female presenting main character. A lot of the time these authors have the ability to put like an author's note at the beginning, and they're like, hey, you know, pronouns used in this are she, her, change it to whatever you want, that's fine, like this is just how I wrote it. Or like, pronouns used in here are they, them, I left it pretty ambiguous so that everyone could read it. Fanfiction is a very inclusive place if you find the right place. The place I found the most inclusive fanfiction is Stranger Things self-insert fanfiction, which is something that I didn't think I would ever say. Lately I have been really into Steve Harrington fanfiction, specifically Steve Harrington self-insert fanfiction. I love it so much. Steve Harrington, Steve Rogers, I do all of the Chris Evans characters, most of the Sebastian Stan characters. I have read some Ted Lasso fics. Surprisingly, have also read some Roy Kent ones. And I'm not a Roy Kent girl. I've come on the internet and said this a million times. I am a Ted Lasso girl. I am also a Brett Goldstein girly. I love Brett Goldstein. That's another thing for another day. I've not looked for Brett Goldstein fanfiction. Again, I don't really read a lot of real person fic. So, the movie series that has really kind of taken off, and a lot of the, especially a lot of the published books that are like verified this was a fan fiction, have been Twilight. They are books that are based on Twilight. So you have the 50 Shades series. You also have the the 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. You also have the Christina Lauren Beautiful Bastard series. And you know the ones I'm talking about. Also, there's Wallbanger. I don't remember who Wallbanger is by, like who wrote Wallbanger. But that is also Twilight fanfiction. And like, fanfiction is so big. It's such a big thing that even Rainbow Rowell has a book series where the characters in the series, and I don't know the name of it, but they wrote fan fiction, and Rainbow Rowell has now published the fan fiction they wrote in that book. So those are kind of the Twilight ones. Oh, the Puck series by Helena Hunting is another Twilight AU. Like, at least the first book. And it's just crazy. So then you go even further, and we jump to today's time. jump to 2022, 2021. We'll even go back to 2021 when Allie Hazelwood's The Love Hypothesis came out. Had the death grip on me. It was Raylo fanfiction. I don't read Raylo fanfiction. I'm not a Raylo shipper. Ben Solo deserved better. Kylo Ren did not. Okay, let's just make sure that's established here. So any of the Allie Hazelwood books that she's written. So you've got The Love Hypothesis, her 3 novellas, and then Love on the Brain that just came out last week before last. All of that is Raylo fanfiction, and that's fine. There's also oh my god, Seat Filler by Soraya Wilson. That was a real person self-insert fanfiction that got published about Adam Driver. If you don't know who Adam Driver is,
I'm Adam Driver.
He's Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. He's in all kinds of stuff. He's this like 6'5" lanky man who I love. I think he's hilarious. I think he's a great actor. But he like is, you know, his most notable role is from Star Wars, the last 3 Star Wars movies. And this girl met him and then proceeded to write a self-insert fan fiction. Also found out in my process of research for this, and there's 2 reasons I didn't know this, but the City of Bones series, Draco and Ginny fan fiction from Harry Potter. There are 2 reasons I don't know this. Number 1, I don't do Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter. I've never watched the Harry Potter movies. Me and Harry Potter, we don't know each other. Number 2, I've never read City of Bones, but I had friends in high school that did. And I had friends my whole life that loved Harry Potter. I never did. My favorite cousin, you guys have heard me talk about her a million times. She loves Harry Potter. She's read the Harry Potter books, I think she said like 30 times now. She's 6 years older than me. And I've not read them. Because when the Harry Potter books were coming out and they were so big, I wasn't reading at that level. So, we actually had that discussion last night. So that one's fresh in my brain. But also another one that's blown up and now has 3 movies, and I think they're working on a 4th movie, or has 4 movies all out now, is the After series by Anna Todd. That was One Direction fan fiction. The guy from that movie is based on Harry Styles. Like, these are things that happen, and there's no shame in it. And I think that we need to fight the stigma, or not fight the stigma, but I don't think there needs to be a stigma around fan fiction. I read some weird ass fan fiction. I'll sit here and tell you that. There is a series that I check Archive of Our Own obsessively to see if it's been updated. Okay? Obsessively check it. Because I love it. And it's not a Sebastian Stan fan fiction. It is a fan fiction based on The Devil All the Time on Netflix, where Sebastian Stan plays the county sheriff and he chases Tom Holland through the woods with a shotgun. Is this movie any good? No, but you get a little pudgy Sebastian Stan with a little bit of a southern accent. It takes place in Ohio, and he's chasing Tom Holland through the woods with a shotgun, and he's a shady person. It's great. Like, it's objectively, is it a good movie? No. It also has Robert Pattinson in it. He plays a shady preacher. Everybody in this town is shady. I've seen this movie like 15 times. And this fan fiction is everything I've ever wanted it to be. It is a self-insert fan fiction with Sheriff Lee Bodecker, and the female main character is just as shady as Lee Bodecker, and it's amazing, and I love it. And it was updated in June or July. I recently read it, read the update, and now I'm biting my nails waiting for the next one. It's like me reading the Never King books the Never King series by Nikki St. Crow. You guys know this. I burned through these books and then I'm left waiting. That's how I feel with it's called Gibeon. It's fantastic. I love it. I love it. So fanfiction is one of those things that I think shouldn't have a stigma around it. I grew up around fanfiction, and it's a way for the fans to cope with the ending of things. I know there's a lot of Gilmore Girls fanfiction because people wanted Rory and Jess together. Do I agree with that? No, I hate Jess. I don't read Gilmore Girls fanfiction because I don't like it between two characters. Like, I don't want to read Raylo fanfiction because I don't want fanfiction between Kylo Ren and Ray, but I don't want that, so I don't read it. I like self-insert fanfiction. It's a way to disassociate. I like to disassociate sometimes, a lot of the time, but when it's published and they have different names and I don't have to think, take the Love Hypothesis for example, I didn't have to continuously think, okay, this is Kylo Ren, this is Rey. Like, that wasn't something in the back of my mind. There's all kinds of other, like, alternative universes. You can find some really good, really, I'm not going to say strange, it's just not up my alley fanfiction. Like the Omegaverse fanfictions. You can find those in just about anything. Ted Lasso fanfictions. I struggle with Ted Lasso fanfiction because everybody that writes Ted Lasso fanfiction, like about Ted Lasso, either wants him with Trent Crimm, the reporter from The Independent, or Rebecca, the owner of the soccer team, the football team. I don't want him with either of them. I like Rebecca with who she's with at the end of season 2. And I think it should stay that way. I've had this discussion with many people as well. Or like Roy and Keeley. There is a book that is essentially Roy Keeley fanfiction. If you've seen Ted Lasso in season 2, the Christmas episode, Roy and Keeley are going to have sexy Christmas. And this book is basically Roy and Keeley's Sexy Christmas. But it's a Princess Bodyguard book. It is a novella. It is great. But fanfiction is kind of all around us. And it's something that I think really needs to be destigmatized, because it's I can almost guarantee you've read a book, especially in the romance community, you've read a book that was originally fanfiction. And you just don't know it. Because I don't think they come out and say it with a lot of books. There has been so much Raylo fanfiction published in the last little bit, it's not even funny. There's just so much, and it doesn't have to explicitly be fanfiction. Like, again, Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, that our hero in that book is based on Ted Lasso. Doesn't make it fanfiction, because his name's not Ted. Or was never Ted. That's kind of, that's what I'm trying to get at here, is fanfiction has shaped romance, specifically romance. I'm going to say, because that's my area, right? Fanfiction has shaped romance in a positive way and has given us a lot of leeway and a lot of headway into getting some things published that we may have never gotten. Because like 50 Shades blew up the BDSM community there for a while. I was 15, I think, when those movies came out, or the books. I was 17 when my cousin got married, and she got him as a wedding present from one of her friends, like, or a birthday present from one of her friends. So somewhere in that time, this book came out and kind of gave more exposure to the BDSM community. And in fanfiction, you have these characters that are written into these stories that fit your favorite tropes. So I recommend fanfiction. If you need to dissociate, or you're in a slump and you just need to read something, read some fanfiction. I believe Archive of Our Own is the one where you can actually get the fanfiction sent to your Kindle. There are two websites I use. I use Archive of Our Own and I use Tumblr. There are a million other places to get fan fiction. If you get fan fiction from anywhere else, you can feel free to leave it in the comments below. I used to love Jonas Brothers fan fiction when I was in school. I read a ton of it. They have their own website dedicated to Joe Bro fan fiction. It's still up and running. It lost all of its stuff because it shut down for a while. But like, fan fiction is one of those things that it's been around for so long. It's a creative outlet for people, and then you never know when your fan fiction is going to be good enough that they edit it, give the characters a different name, and turn around and publish it. And then what happens from the publishing? Because look at E.L. James and 50 Shades. Look at Anna Todd and the After series. This video basically is just me telling you fan fiction is really good for my mental health specifically. It helps me dissociate, helps me kind of, it puts me in a better mood. And I can kind of remove myself from reality for a little bit. Because sometimes reality sucks. I think that fan fiction gets a bad rap that it doesn't deserve a lot of the time. So, if you want, I'm working on a video of fan fiction to fiction Rex, and I know I talked about it in my Bookish Buzzwords. I'm actually currently reading Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood. I was listening to the audiobook the other day and was just not in the headspace to listen to it. So I'm gonna read it today. I have a couple books I'm gonna read today. It's a long weekend. And yesterday I was gone all day because it was my nephew's birthday. I went to his birthday party. He turned 8. He's adorable. I love him. All of this is to say that fan fiction has really shaped a lot in the last 20 years, specifically in the last 10 years even, specifically. And if you didn't know, a lot of your favorite books are probably based on fan fiction or were written as fan fiction originally. And it helps. I really think that it helps authors get a grip on how to go through the writing process. And then they can build their own characters from there. You can always write a fan fiction and go back in and like fix your character, you know? So there is some bad self-insert fan fictions that have been published. Like published. You can go to Barnes & Noble and buy the physical copy of the book published. So that's gonna be all for today's video. Okay, if you made it this far into the video, if you watched this whole video, number 1, you have my gratitude. Number 2, leave the monkey going like this emoji, because I feel like I'm talking about a very taboo subject. And yeah, so I will see you guys on Thursday with another video. And that's all I've got for today. So until next time, you guys, be good to yourself, take care of yourself, and I will catch you on Thursday with a new video. Bye everyone.